We are standing in the Johnson family home, who were Quaker abolitionists and worked with free and enslaved Africans and other abolitionists on the issue of enslavement, which ultimately led to Africans being free.
They were very much anti-slavery. Eventually, they offered the house as a stop on the Underground Railroad.
This was a place that if you were escaping slavery, you'd knock on this door, you'd come in, you'd be offered that kind of safe harbor, so to speak, before you went on your way to the next place.
And from an up-to-date perspective, a more modern perspective, it's a facility, an institution that provides learning for young, for old, for rich, for poor. But the learning is really a matter of not just from a historic perspective, but also from a social justice perspective, from an advocacy perspective. So it's almost like connecting history with today's modern time. And the Johnson House is one of those institutions that does that by telling stories, that by taking tours, by coming in and talking to folks like Connie Swenson and others who work here, and they sort of connect the past with the future and help us to understand from where we come.
It's an opportunity for them to learn more about their history so that they can feel empowered to know more about who they are.
When we played these spirituals and you think about the lyrics and you think about the people themselves who were trying to seek freedom, and then you know that they were housed here, there are no words.
I think it's really fascinating to be here and to learn so much stuff about the abolitionist cause, the women's rights causes, and how those intersected, and how passionately and how long people fought for the human rights that we're still looking for today.
My name is Jacqueline Wiggins, and I am a senior docent at the Johnson House Historic Site, this beautiful, beautiful historic house museum with the history of the Underground Railroad in Germantown. As we enter this room, we're going to look at and learn a little bit about some of our women abolitionists. Come with me. Here we have the one and only Harriet Tubman, this beautiful art piece done by Paul Collins. And as you can see, she has her weapon. She's also showing her people just to be quiet for a while because they're going to have to steal away. Here we have a picture, another picture of Mrs. Tubman up in age. She was born 1820, Dorchester County, Maryland. She passed in 1913. Here in the case at the Johnson House, we have some people of note, one of whom is William Still. William Still, known via the New York Times as the father of the Underground Railroad, was born 1821 and passed away in 1902. Because he was an achiever, if you will, he decided to become a part of the Philadelphia Vigilance Committee that was helping enslaved Africans with their journey north or their journey to freedom, period. Here we have something that he did that is a part of the historical record. He began to think, as Africans are coming through here, maybe there's a story that they could tell that might help someone in another way based on that information. One of the stories that's here, among the many stories that are here, there must be stories about about 200 people, is the story of Jane Johnson. Her captor was en route to an ambassadorship in Nicaragua and had to stop over in Philadelphia, where she decided to secure her freedom. Passmore Williamson, who's here, in this artist's rendering, helped her, and for his efforts, he was arrested and put in jail. There was a trial, and the trial ended with the fact that even though her captor said that she wouldn't want any freedom, why would she want freedom? Well, she wanted her freedom. And the fact is that she was allowed to obtain her freedom. And there are so many more stories that are here. One night, there was an African family here, in this room, as we learned, and then there was a knock, probably louder, on the door. Who might that be in the evening? Well, we have since learned it was the sheriff or the constable with a warrant. What happened? Just perhaps, the family went up these steps. Or, follow me. Or could they have taken a path that would lead to the kitchen? And perhaps up these steps. If the Johnsons directed everyone to come up these steps, well, here's another set of steps where that family that night could have escaped out of those windows outside. We can only imagine.
There's a book here called The Underground Railroad. It was written by William Still. Well, my daughter happened to be a descendant of the Still family, 6 generations removed. I remember the first time I brought her here, she was about 2 years old, and she was informed that her great-great-great-great-great-grandfather wrote this book, and she got a chance to see this book and hold it in her hand and Connie flipped through some of the pages. And my daughter did a dance, and I'm not making this up, but it's almost like the ancestors just sort of engulfed her. And she did this little dance that only a typical 2-year-old can do when a spirit just hits them. And so, you know, as I talk about my daughter, I can only imagine the other children that come here. The Johnson House is pivotal to many of us learning about our history.
I've been thrilled to discover Johnson House, and not only to realize that I had a connection to the house, but also to know what Johnson House is doing now.
What we're doing is partnering with people who are already doing the hard work and letting them do it.
GREAT is one of several local organizations that Johnson House has supported by providing space for us to have meetings.
And the other thing is that I didn't mention is that Juneteenth. The Johnson House has been having Juneteenth celebrations for years.
We connected on bringing abolition up to today, what abolition means to today in this society, which is not just about closing things, it's also about healing, because there is no liberation without healing.